And welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a nasty, cold, wet Friday, but it is almost the weekend. And Chastity, we had a blast last night at the Monroe Christmas Parade. That was fun.
It was so fun.
I heard there was a little bit of drama after we left because we cut out about 7:05. And convenient today, our first guest is going to be Chief R.V. Watts of the City of Monroe Police Department. And some knuckleheads went out there and lit off some firecrackers and caused a little bit of a disturbance. So when the chief comes on, we're going to talk to him about that.
Good.
Yeah, little rascals out there trying to scare some people up. But that was a lot of fun. Great parade. There had to be north of 10,000 people there, I'm going to guess. Yeah.
Easily. I just felt like it was just nothing but a sea of people.
It was a sea of people.
Yes.
Everyone was just in great Christmas spirits. The floats were fun to watch.
The laughter.
Yep.
Love it.
Good atmosphere. A lot of fun. So couple things I want to talk about before we interview our guests today. And again, our two guests today are Chief R.V. Watts of the City of Monroe Police Department. And then next hour, we have Chief Dick Lowry of the City of Loganville Police Department. Unusual that we have two heavy hitters back to back like that in one day. But it is fitting because I think one of the highlights of this show in the 2+ months, going on 3 months now of us doing this, is interviewing our incredible leadership in law enforcement in this area.
Absolutely.
We've had the Sheriff of Walton County, Barrow County, Morgan County, Oconee County, and now we've got
Monroe,
our chief. We're covering all the bases, and we are blessed. We have tremendous law enforcement leadership out here. I want to continue a conversation that we were talking about yesterday, where President Trump has made this initiative to eliminate the narco-terrorist off the coast of Venezuela. I know Tim Bryan, I think, talked about this earlier today on WMOQ, so I don't want to keep pounding that angle, but what I want to talk about now is that Congress is complaining, and they are saying, hey, we want to apply the War Powers Act to prevent President Trump from advancing this initiative. And I always find it bewildering to me that the folks in Congress roll up their sleeves and start getting to work when it's something that is just shiny and gets them in the public eye. Where were they when fentanyl was pouring into our country, killing thousands of people every single month? What initiatives were they advancing to stop those deaths? And so, yes, I am an advocate for following the Geneva Convention. I'm an advocate for being sure that our military behaves in a proper way. But these are enemy combatants. And so in about 10 days, I've got retired Colonel Mitch Swan's coming back on. We're going to talk about this because I'm not a military expert, but Mitch is, and he's going to really help us dig into this and understand what the administration is trying to accomplish and the positive effects it's going to have on stopping the flow of these deadly drugs into our country. So every time I hear that Congress is starting to complain, again, I went back and did research. They tried, during Obama's administration, his 8 years, he had 550 plus drone strikes that killed 3,000. Oh, no, I don't remember what number. I said it yesterday. It was
like 800.
800 civilians. I'm not talking any combatants. These are civilians that the drone strikes killed.
Sure.
And Congress was never successfully able to apply the War Powers Act and stop his efforts. And so this is infinitesimal compared to what Obama did, what Trump is trying to do. And I do not want to see Congress get in his way, regardless if they're Republicans or Democrats. Now, what's interesting is the State Department issued a travel warning to those who want to go to Venezuela. I don't know that anybody wants to go to Venezuela right now, not the place that I would want to be. But I know there are some expatriates there, people that are there maybe on mission trips, things like that. And the State Department is saying, hey, do not travel there. You need to come home if you are there. I guess there's cases where people have been arrested and the State Department has not been advised of this. So you're almost in no man's land if you are an American citizen and you're in Venezuela.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. It is very scary. Now, one personal note that I'll add is if you do plan to go to Venezuela, do not take a small boat or a small craft off the coast of Venezuela.
Not at all.
That cannot end well for you, possibly. And one final note, this was fascinating to me. So you know who FIFA is, right, Chastity? That's the soccer organization.
Yes, okay.
I don't know what FIFA stands for. I got a buddy that's a big soccer fan, and he would know what FIFA stands for. He always calls soccer football. He doesn't realize that football is played on a gridiron. like they do between the hedges down there. But FIFA, who is traditionally they kind of support left agenda talking points, whether it's LGBTQ stuff or if it's gay marriage stuff or you name it. They always have a celebratory faction to their soccer games that recognize those entities. Well, FIFA's come out and said they're going to reportedly issue a prize to President Donald Trump, and they're going to call this the Peace Prize. Football Unites the World. And they're issuing it to President Trump because of his extraordinary efforts and his actions to have peace in the world. I say well-deserved. I think if you look at his efforts over in Israel and Gaza, he has made it a mission to stop the war there. And, of course, in Russia and Ukraine, President Trump has made a massive effort to be sure that that war hopefully comes to an end soon. And Chastity has handed me, you are awesome, Chastity. You're like a data analyst. FIFA is the Federation International Football. So you see, soccer's not football. Football's football.
Yeah, but there it is, football.
Yeah. Football is played in a gridiron. When we come back, we have Chief R.V. Watts. Stick around.
This Christmas, K&D Shoes and Conyers has got the perfect gifts for the man on your Christmas list. Check out their huge selection of rugged workwear to athletic footwear from Hoka. Help him step out in style, and a brand new pair of jeans from Marriott. Great for work or a night on the town. If boots are on the Christmas list, see their great selection of boots from Marriott, Georgia Boot, Rocky, Brunt, and more. Not sure what to buy? Then check out the gift cards. One size fits all. This Christmas, your one-stop shop for the man on your Christmas list is K&D Shoes. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. 2240 Dogwood Drive in Conyers. That's K&D Shoes in Conyers. To learn more, go to kndshoes.com. Merry Christmas from K&D Shoes.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
Your call is very important.
Still waiting on your cable company to care? With slow speeds and hidden fees, maybe it's time to pull the plug. Kinetic gives you 100% fiber and gig speeds with 25 times faster uploads than cable. Local service that actually shows up, and clear pricing that isn't there to surprise you. So ditch cable and connect with the right crowd. Get up to $200 when you switch. Visit GoKinetic.com. Kinetic. Internet better. Subject to availability. Terms and conditions apply.
There's something about a clock. It keeps working even when you don't think about it. All day, all night. Behind the clock is a machine you'll never see. Always reliable. Always accurate. It wasn't a mistake when we named our heating and air company Clockwork. Yeah, some folks call us and ask if we can fix their watches. We can't. But we can fix your furnace and air conditioning brilliantly, so it runs like a clock. Runs when you're not even thinking about it. But there's something else about the clock in Clockwork Heating and Air Conditioning. We have mad respect for time. We make ourselves available on your time. We never waste your time. And we're at your house in a timely manner. This is what it means to work like clockwork. Clockwork Heating and Air Conditioning. Clockwork-air.com.
That's killer bumper music. Welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Chief R.V. Watts. He is the chief of the City of Monroe Police Department. Chief, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I heard we had a little bit of drama last night, so we had a remote going on at the Christmas parade, and we took off really shortly after 7. So I think we missed this, or at least I did. But somebody lit off some fireworks, and
yes, unfortunately, we had some teenagers on the area of Court Street decided to set off some fireworks, which this day and age can create pandemonium. People started fleeing the area, but our guys were already in the area there, so immediately we were able to disprove that there was any kind of shooting or any kind of issues.
Calm the nerves,
right? Trying to calm it, but still, it created the panic.
Yeah,
and I think several families ended up leaving from that area after that. But if you'll look on our social media post today, we actually have a $1,000 reward for anybody who will give us the identity of the individual responsible for doing that and creating that situation.
You're very polite. You call him an individual. I call him a knucklehead. Leave it to those pesky teenagers to stir the pudding. But, yeah, hopefully that'll get resolved. But that was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it last night. You guys leading off the parade and just the feeling of – obviously, there's a festive feeling, there's a family feeling, but it also felt very safe because of y'all's presence there. So thank you for what y'all did last night.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
So, Chief, tell our listeners a little bit about you. Let's start from, where you grew up, family, and just your humble beginnings.
So I grew up in a family of 5. I have a brother and sister, older brother and sister. I was the baby. Of course, my mom treated me as such. That's where my name RV comes from. Most people, my full name is Robert Von Watts, but people call me RV, and they've been calling me RV since I've started in law enforcement. But I grew up in Dorville, Georgia, and I attended Sequoia High School until it became a middle school, and I finished up my high school at Cross Keys High School. But again, that was still back kind of country, Beaufort Highway area then. I graduated in 91. In 92, I joined the United States Marine Corps, went to Parris Island, and I can tell you, when I made that decision to go, I wanted a challenge in my life. I wasn't college material. So when I joined the Marine Corps, I can tell you, and most guys that went to Parris Island can tell you everything about those first 5 minutes of pulling up to the gate there at the middle of the night, and it was in December when I joined, and getting off and getting on those yellow footprints. I was there for about 5 minutes, and I was like, man, I have really made a bad mistake. With screaming and yelling.
I've seen the videos, yeah.
Right, and every kid thinks, man, home sucks. I'm ready to get away from here. And then you get there, and you're like, home was really not that bad.
Yeah. Let me rethink this.
But I did my time there at Parris Island, graduated there, and then I transitioned to Camp Geiger, where you go to Marine combat training. And then from there, I went to the School of Infantry, where I picked up my MOS, which is your military occupational status, and I was a 0331 machine gunner. And at the time, the machine guns that we were using were the M60 Echo 3s. And then I transitioned from there to the fleet, and I was attached to the 3rd Battalion 6 Marines. And I had no idea. I was 20 years old where I was going to be going, but people were telling me then, like, oh, you're going to 6 Marines. Them guys are fixing to deploy. Yeah. Well, they were deploying to Mogadishu, Somalia. And if you remember back in October '93, that's when the whole Black Hawk Down incident happened. And we were attached to the 24th MU, which MUSOC stands for Marine Expeditionary Unit Special Operations Capable. And we were trained in doing exercises of hostage rescue, down pilots, whatever was needed for us. We could be there within 24 hours. And it's a whole fleet Marine force that's deployed. They're always out there on every 6 months transitioning from.
And when you say fleet, so you guys are actually on a ship at this point?
Yes. I was on the USS Spartanburg County 1192. And you notice, I can't tell you what went on last week. But
you remember the nomenclature of everything that back then.
Right. It made such an impact on a young man. And some of the things significant about that time is we were transatlantic going over to Somalia, and like I said, that incident had already happened in October, and so I ended up in Somalia in January. But what
was it like there at that time? So this is post Black Hawk Down,
right? You're what, 3 months after that incident? Yeah. I mean, I don't think their feelings towards the Americans had changed.
Right,
it was still a hostile. Area,
yeah.
Right, and but it wasn't as bad as what they endured. We were getting small arms fire, we were getting mortar attacks, things of that nature.
Right.
Being there, I actually turned 21 there.
Celebrated your birthday there in Somalia.
Right. But I can tell you, things for me that impacted me was as we were crossing over, we had just got through celebrating Christmas with our families we were deploying. Right out the gate, we lost a helicopter with some 3 guys on it, and never found them. because as soon as the helicopter hits the water, the motor and stuff's on top, and it uprights and it's gone.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, my God, we lost 3 guys right out the gate, and we ain't even got to the hostile area that we're going. But then when we get off the coast of Somalia, you're seeing video footage and stuff of what happened in October. So fear was strong then. I was really scared to death sitting on the flight deck, knowing, and we'd already been given orders that we were going ashore the next day. And I was with what's called AAVs, Amtraks, those things that look like tanks that float in the water. And so most of the time, military personnel were always joking around, having a good time and stuff like that. But that next morning, when we formed up in the deck area of the ship, they started issuing out live ammunition and live ordnances, and reality started sinking in. Okay, this is real. So there was nobody laughing, nobody joking, and we loaded up on the back of those AAVs. And I mean, I can, from the smell of the diesel to the tracks rolling towards the back of the ship as they go to launch, all that was super impactful on me, and the fear was so strong, of knowing where we were going and possibly what we're about to get into. And so then we make it ashore. We received small arms fire, and they combat.
Was it from a distance at that point? I mean, are they just shooting blindly?
Right,
or?
they would never go toe to toe with you, because there's no way they could go toe to toe with us. So they would hit you and run and stuff. And so we took a little bit of small arms fire, but the thing that was scary to me was that the combat dropped the back of the ramp on this AAV, which is hydraulic normally, but they can drop it immediately and tell everybody to get off. And so, when that happens, again, you're like, oh, this is it.
This is real.
So, and then, after that, we were setting up a perimeter. I was in the Newport area of Mogadishu, because the Army was withdrawn. We were given orders for the U.S. to withdraw from the area, and so we were setting up a perimeter, setting up post, and we like I said, we received some mortar attacks. I mean, I could sit here and tell you different incidents about what went through, but it was such a impactful thing for me as a young man. I
can't imagine, like you said, the fear that you guys had, all the training that you've been through, but now especially you're going into hostile territory. What we ask our young men and women to do is almost unthinkable at times, the situations that we put them in. And it's funny, you referenced the helicopter that went down. Not that it's funny, but my son, who is training to be a helicopter pilot, so that is part of their training, where they take you, they put you in a capsule. It's a simulation.
Right. That's right.
And it's a dunk tank, basically. Yeah, and the lights are blacked out. And my son said, Dad, he goes, it's one of the most disorienting, frightful things I've ever done. Because you're supposed to remember where everything is, and it's black, and you're gasping for air, and there's panic sets in, and he's in a safe environment. So,
right.
Oh mercy!
They're teaching you to think under pressure, how to respond and react under that stress, and you got to be able to think, because panic, if you let panic set in, then that's what's going to end up costing you.
You listen to the Marc McMain Show. My guest is Chief R.V. Watts. He is the chief, the City of Monroe Police Department. Chief, how would you say that your military service influenced your worldviews, or, so you exit the military, how did that shape you as a young man at that point? And how long were you in for? How long did you stay in the Marine Corps for?
So I did 4 years active duty with the Marine Corps, and in that time frame, I stayed overseas. In fact, when I came home from Somalia, I was in country, United States, for maybe 2 weeks, and we got recalled down off the coast of Haiti. And so, we never did go ashore in Haiti, but we were there because of the issues that were going on at that time. Ended up going to Cuba twice, because, that's where they built the Camp X-Ray, and they were holding all the Cuban refugees that were trying, it's only like 90 miles from Cuba to Key West, Florida. And so anybody that was trying to cross over, they would be picking them up, and they would take them to that refugee camp. And so we ended up doing guard duty there as well. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me, all the things now looking back, how I got to see so much of the world. I mean, I went to Italy, Greece, Spain, Puerto Rico, Albania, Tunisia, Okinawa, Japan.
Wow.
I got to see a lot before I was 22 years old.
Right.
And at places I never would have been able to see,
And after leaving the military, was law enforcement, was that on the radar for you? Is that something that was in the back of your mind this whole time, or how did that come on the horizon?
I felt like coming out, of the military, I mean, really, my background was infantry. Like, I didn't have a skill set per se, like going to work on like aviation mechanics or something. I mean, I was infantry. So, law enforcement just seemed to be the right direction for
There's
me.
only a handful of jobs up there that require you to shoot an M60.
And how to take it apart and put it back together,
Right.
right? So, yeah. And I felt like most law enforcement, I feel like are previous military veterans as well. And so I transitioned into that. But before I transitioned into law enforcement, I want to tell you the story, the one I was telling you just a little ago.
Yeah, please do.
So my brother-in-law now, he's younger than me, and he had joined the Marine Corps. And so, we struck up a friendship, and he used to, what we called sweep back home. I would bring him from Camp Lejeune, drop him off in Madison, at the McDonald's in Madison, right? And his parents would come pick him up. And ironically, his mom took a liking to me, and I was just a little redneck Marine.
Yeah.
And she introduced her daughter, which is now my wife, Kelly.
Oh, so that's how you met Kelly. Okay,
I met my wife, Kelly, at the McDonald's in Madison. I bet you never would have thought that, right?
That's a great place to meet. That's a good starting point.
And so Kelly was just graduating high school, Pepperbrook High School. She was like 17, 18, and I'm 22, 23. And so we struck up a friendship, and we started dating. And we ended up dating for 4 years before we actually got married. But in that process of dating, I got out in 96, and I started law enforcement in 97. And my first job in law enforcement was I got hired on with the Greene County Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
And I was telling you earlier, by this time I had really no place to stay. I was living with my brother at the time in a single wide trailer in Morgan County. My money had ran out. I had no future. I was trying to get a job with law enforcement. So Kelly and she pulled what money she had together, and we bought me a pair of khaki pants and a green polo shirt. And the night before I was to start my job in the old jail in Greene County, if you go down now, it's a museum. She ironed my pants, and she put this dollar bill right here on my pants, and she wrote "I love you" on it. And she said, you could at least get you a pack of crackers or a Coke. And so for 28 years, that's the dollar I've been carrying. I didn't get a pack of crackers or a Coke that day, because that dollar
that hits home.
That love for me meant so much, and so I've carried it ever since. And then when I got certified, my wife pinned the first badge on my chest, and I can tell you as a law enforcement officer, the impact this profession has had on her and my kids and myself for that many years. And I'm just grateful that the good Lord brought me such a good Christian woman into my life who has supported me and has prayed for me and been there for me through all my trials and tribulations.
She is a wonderful woman.
Absolutely.
I've had the pleasure of meeting her several times, and she does an incredible job for George Walton Academy. I know they're blessed to have her there.
Yes, she is the associate head of school out there and does a phenomenal job.
She does a phenomenal job. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Chief R.V. Watts. He is the chief of the City of Monroe Police Department. Chief, and before I go on, thank you for your service, not just in law enforcement, for your military service. Again, I just can't emphasize enough, what we ask of our young men and women to be in those ultra high stress situations, and then to come out and say, hey, now go find a job.
Right.
Now go out and assimilate back into normal life. That's not easy.
No, not at all. And I think I do a better job now with the transitioning than they did when I got out.
There are more resources for people coming out. Yeah.
Well, and then they recognize more now with the PTSD that these veterans are coming home with, and that's such a hard thing for them to transition from that lifestyle and back into civilian lifestyle here in the United States. And unfortunately, you have that 22 a day. 22 veterans committing suicide a day, and I've had several of my friends that fell prey to that. So there needs to be more done, and I really feel like that being in this profession for so many years, they're going to have to do a better job with our public safety, with our fire, EMS, and police, because these men and women see so much traumatic stuff on a regular basis, and it has a significant impact on their overall mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health.
I think it was you and I were having a conversation a couple of years ago about just that concept, and it wasn't something that I was really aware of, but you framed it better than anyone I've ever heard. It's like, hey, they're going to see, and this is not just law enforcement, this is first responders, EMTs, guys that show up the first on a whether it's a crime scene or an accident scene. They're going to see more more traumatic experiences in a month than the average person will see in a lifetime.
That's right.
And they're having to process this on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And yeah, it takes a toll. And again, I'm a huge advocate for law enforcement. We're asking these young men and women to do this for quite often not the best pay. And I've said it before, our law enforcement doesn't expect to get rich off of these positions, but they also don't want to go broke, protecting the community.
Oh, absolutely. I tell my guys all the time, if you're getting into this profession for anything other than wanting to make a difference and help somebody, you're getting into it for the wrong reason. It's a calling on your life, and I've made references before. Just like a preacher's called to preach, I feel like a law enforcement officer is called into this profession to serve in that same capacity. It's a calling on your life. You're right. You're not going to get rich. Your family's going to struggle financially trying to make ends meet, but and you don't get into this profession for any kind of accolades or rewards. In fact, the best accolades you can receive in this is, and I've had this happen a few times in my career, is helping someone out, and then years later they come back and say, because of you, I'm still here today.
Yeah.
You made it. That night that I was strung out on drugs, and you helped get me into a rehab, or you may have put a tourniquet on somebody's leg and saved their life in that manner. Those different things, when that person comes back and says, hey, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that, you can't put a price
It's not
on
a plaque on a wall or a picture in the paper.
Right.
It's that one-on-one.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's just fantastic. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, more with the City of Monroe Chief of Police, R.V. Watts.
It's already that time again. Time to decide what to gift your office staff, clients, and relatives spread out all across the country for Christmas. Well, that's easy if you choose to go nuts at the Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Online at stonemountainpecan.com. Eat well, be happy.
My name is Trace Akins. I'm from Moultrie, Georgia. To be an organ donor, it would make my family really proud to see something of me live on in someone else. I want my legacy to be me being there for someone who really needs me and helping someone out that really needs help, hoping that they will continue that legacy within themselves and do that with their friends and family.
When you become an organ and tissue donor, your story continues. Lifelink. Register today at mystorycontinues.com.
Here's Evan Youngblood for Youngblood Tractor in Madison.
Did you know Youngblood Tractor is much more than just tractors? Sure, we have the biggest selection of Massey Ferguson tractors around and all the attachments you could ever need. But did you know we also carry the Kawasaki side-by-side lineup like the legendary Kawasaki Mule, Terex, and Ridge? That's Kawasaki's new cab model with heat and AC. Youngblood Tractor also carries the complete Spartan zero-turn mower lineup from residential to commercial zero-turn mowers. Combine that with our massive trailer inventory of equipment, dump, enclosed, and utility trailers, you can always build a winning combination at Youngblood Tractor right here in Madison. We also feature a full parts and service department to help maintain your equipment for years to come. Whether you're a full-time farmer, hunter, or property owner looking to maintain your land, Youngblood Tractor is here to make your next outdoor project a success. Call us today at 706-342-2242 or stop by and see us at 1600 Athens Highway in Madison or shop us 24 hours a day at youngbloodtractor.com.
Ready to grow your small business and reach thousands of new customers? Look no further than Town Values Magazine. Each month, our magazine is packed with coupons and services offered reaching thousands. Want to learn more? Reach out online at townvalues.com.
Double D Plumbing is a local, owned, licensed, and insured plumbing company in Loganville. You can reach Double D Plumbing at 770-466-8370. They have the ability to take on any plumbing job regardless of size or difficulty with experience in all phases of plumbing, including commercial and residential, tankless heaters, sewer cameras, and drain cleaning. Call Craig Shepard at 770-466-8370 or visit them on the web at ddplumbinggeorgia.com. You're going to like the way they flow.
When your windows need cleaning, you need Moreland Window Cleaning. They're a Christ-centered, family-oriented business that takes pride in treating your home like it's their own. They provide affordable and reliable window cleaning services for your home or business, both exterior and interior. Give them a call for your free quote today, 770-298-8370. Moreland Window Cleaning. They guarantee crystal clear views every time. That's 770-298-8370. Welcome back. Marc McMain, our guest, is the Chief of Police of the Monroe Police Department, R.V. Watts. We have been talking about his military background, his transition into law enforcement after he got out of the military. And Chief, now I'm kind of curious, how did you wind up in Monroe? So you're down in Greene County, started off in the jail, worked your way through there, and then you wind up here.
Yeah, so started in Greene County in 97. Opportunity came available not long after getting certified to be a canine officer. So I was sent to Chatham County to get trained with this canine. It was Canine Nero, and I did not name him.
Okay. You adopted him.
That's right.
Yeah.
But he was trained he was passive alert to train on cocaine, marijuana, methamphetamine.
Okay.
So when I came back from school, I started doing drug interdiction on the interstate out here on I-20. And that's, Atlanta's a major drug hub. And so as traffic filters out coming out east, going towards Greene County, it's able to, catch people with traffic infractions. You stop them for seatbelt or, failing to maintain lane. And then, somebody who's hauling a load of marijuana or bricks of cocaine.
Dog can sniff that out.
Well, not only that, I mean, there's no way that person can keep it together. You can see the fear and concern on their face. You literally can see the carotid artery like thumping on the side of their neck. Absolutely.
So no poker players in the drug dealing business.
Yeah, none of that. And so I did that for years down there in Greene County and learned a lot about people and how to read body language. Yeah. And there's a lot of dangers that, had a good friend that was, I don't know if you ever heard of Robbie Bishop, but he came down and actually trained with some of our guys in Greene County. He later was murdered up in Villa Rica doing the same thing, interdiction on I-20. And then they went on and developed an organization called NDIA, which was National Drug Interdiction Association. Then it became NCEA, which is National Criminal Enforcement Administration. But these are officers that are actively out here pursuing the people who are transporting drugs, drug carriers, drug dealers.
Yeah.
So, as you were talking before I came on, you were talking about the whole narco stuff. So I'm in full support of that because those are terrorists to this country.
They are.
And,
Chief, they're killing thousands of people, more than thousands of people a month.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a lucrative business, and people are profiting off of the demons that these individuals have with addictions and stuff. So I've always taken a personal stance against it because I can't stand. I've actually had this affect my personal family, which I think is another reason why I've answered that call to really get proactively after drug enforcement like that. But I transitioned from Greene County. I started up here in 2002. Keith Glass, the former chief, he hired me on. There were some issues in the city of Monroe, and there's always going to be issues with drugs, right? But wanted me to kind of focus mainly on that. And so when I hired on here, gosh, I was only here just a few months, and I had several like car chases and incidents, of making drug arrests. And then we got into street level drugs. I had never done that before, where we were actually wiring up informants and sending undercover officers in. And they actually worked a couple federal cases that took down some big drug dealers around here. So that's when the whole transition of really combating the drug issues in the city of Monroe and also even in Walton County took place, and trying to make a difference there. But then as time went on, I got promoted. I went from being a canine officer to a lieutenant over CID, Criminal Investigation Division. Started property crimes and personal person crimes. And as my career progressed, I went from that to a captain over the Uniform Patrol Division.
You're rising through the ranks.
Yeah, and then that's when. So we have a SWAT team now, but it wasn't called a SWAT team back then. It was called CRT. I think Chief Glass didn't want to call it SWAT because most SWAT teams are full time officers, and ours was just whenever case by case we needed. So he called it the CRT, which was the Chief's Response Team.
Okay.
But when we would do drug buys and stuff, that's how we would execute those narcotic search warrants.
Did you guys have like special equipment?
Oh yeah, yeah. In fact, I remember we were only going to get maybe 3 vests, but we had a meeting one day with Chief Glass, and I had a 8-man team, and he was like, whatever it takes. So he bought 8 entry vests, 8 Kevlar helmets and stuff for us to be able to go execute.
So you're equipped the right way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so he was in full support of that. He understood what. He born and raised here. He knew what needed to be done and wanted to make an impact that. And so he gave me the opportunity to do what I needed to do in that area. And so we were able to be effective in combating the drug problems here in the city. But then he transitioned me from that to, like I said, criminal investigations, to the Uniform Patrol Division, managing these officers on the road. He put me over the admin division, which, if he's listening, he's probably going to laugh right now. But when he put me over admin, that's more of a laid back role. It's an important role,
sure,
but you're not out in the heat of everything, right?
You're like a manager now.
You're dealing with supply. You're dealing with the courts. And so I remember asking him, I was like, "Are you trying to run me off?" And he told me, he said, "Listen," he said, "I didn't have the opportunity to be able to work these areas, and all I'm trying to do is prepare you for the future. So when
you're learning everything."
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what he was doing. He said, when the day comes and you have an opportunity possibly to be the chief one day, you'll understand how the full operation runs each division. So, and I'm grateful and thankful for that opportunity.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Chief R.V. Watts. He is the chief of the City of Monroe Police Department. And Chief, if you go back and if you look at some of the best managers in history and some of the most successful CEOs of companies, they have worked their way through, some of them starting off in the janitorial department.
Right.
And so when you have that ability to do every job, then nobody can come to you and say, "Chief, I'm facing an issue that you've never dealt with." I've seen it all.
That's right.
I've been there. I've been in your shoes. Was there a moment for you? Was there a light bulb moment prior to this that you were thinking, "Man, I've found my groove. This is my career. That I would love to be the chief of police." Was that something that was in the back of your mind, or was it when Chief when Chief Glass presented that?
Well, I can honestly say I think the best position is the number 2 guy, because the number 2 gets to be involved with all the operational things that are going on, but he's not in the spotlight, or she's not in the spotlight of the political side of things, and I can say this: when I was number 2, I really thought that I was fully prepared to transition to the number 1 position, but there's so much about the number 1 that you cannot tell someone. They just have to actually live it. And I don't know if you remember this, but when it came to be that I was appointed interim chief in 2018, I mean, immediately I had several major incidents happen. I had a officer involved shooting that resulted in a death. I had a murder-suicide, and then I had an incident out at Feckle Park where an individual was coming out of Woodline trying to sexually assault women. So all this was, and even on that incident, that particular incident, I had Channel 2 come down and wanting to interview me on what was going on at Feckle Park, and so they got in the truck with me for me to take them over to where these incidents were going on, and then the DA's office had investigators over there and spotted the individual, and long story short, we ended up going blue lights and siren to get there, and so Channel 2 now turns into live PD, cameras on me.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, you can go online now and look at this, but we did a takedown over there, and I was part of the takedown.
And then they're taping it the whole time?
Taping the whole time.
Wow.
So I was like, oh my gosh. And that was it within the first 2 weeks of me actually putting on the Chiefs badge, and I was like, I don't know if I really want to.
Yeah, because you're probably wanting to take over and put your fingerprint on things and, hey, make some adjustments. I'm assuming you maybe had a vision of some things that you wanted to implement, and all of a sudden, right out of the gates, you're dealing with major stuff.
Major things right out, and I mean, I was getting in front of the major news outlets of Atlanta, and
did you feel prepared for those?
I had been through training, I've been through command college and the PMP, professional management programs, but all that stuff, it prepares you. It's kind of like, military training. They prepare you, but you really don't know what you're going to do until you're actually in that situation, right? And so it was trial by fire is what it was. Okay, let's get up here and let's do what we need to do. And
next time, don't say that again.
Right. Well, I mean, you learn more from your failures than you do your successes, right? So.
You absolutely do. Marc McMain, our guest, is Chief Watts. He is the chief of the City of Monroe Police Department. Chief, since becoming chief of police for Monroe, what are some of your proudest achievements? And I would imagine maybe being live streamed, catching a sexual predator would have to be one of them, and that had to be pretty fun. But what are some of your proudest moments that you had since being chief of the department?
Well, I would say, one of the things that we were able to get done since being the chief was, and I think this is one of the things I can hang my hat on as an accomplishment, was changing the retirement. The city's retirement is still a pension, which most places do not have pensions anymore. They go 401ks. But the current city retirement is 25 and 55. You have to be 55 years of age with 25 years of service before you can draw.
25 years in City of Monroe or
right.
law enforcement?
right, 25 years City of Monroe.
City of Monroe, okay.
So one of the things that we got changed was, obviously, like I said, public safety. These men and women are subjected to a lot more traumatic events. And we made a proposal to reduce that to where it's a 20 and 50. So now it's 50 years of age with 20 years of service.
Okay.
You can still retire. The only thing with that is the multiplier is still 2%. So if you left at 20 years, you're only going to draw 40% of your top 5 highest annual earnings.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But after 5 years, you're vested with the department or with the city, and you can buy back prior service, military or law enforcement. So these are things that we've incentivized, trying to recruit people to come work for us, good individuals work for us, but also about the 7-10 year mark in most law enforcement officers' careers is when they start questioning, do I really want to continue to do this? And so if I can get you to a 10-year mark and say, hey, you're halfway to the finish line,
then the retention is higher.
Trying to keep that retention, hiring high caliber individuals to come work for you, and then maintaining that standard of excellence that you want out of your people.
The pension is huge. I wasn't aware of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is a nice.
That's probably one of the greatest accomplishments I could say that hang my hat on, for sure. That's probably the biggest impactful one there.
Do the surrounding areas, do they offer that as well? Like if you go to Winder, do they have something similar to that? Or is that something?
I don't think they have the 20 and 50. I think they do have a pension through GMA, but I don't think they're. I think a lot of people will try to, or would try to implement that if they can make it happen. Of course, it's a funding issue as well. If they can afford to do it.
Since being chief, difficult issues, anything that you had to face that were hurdles, that were, whether it be a personal, emotional deal or something that was tough for the department to handle?
Well, geez, Mark, I mean, like I said, I could sit here and talk with you hours about several incidents that I have personally been involved in. Anytime that we've had incidents involving the death of a child, and then doing a death notification to a family, and I'll say this, in all my career of a law enforcement officer and as a United States Marine, I've seen a lot of tragedies, I've seen a lot of death, but there's nothing I've seen worse than a parent losing a child. There's nothing, and it doesn't matter at what age.
Oh yeah, I know.
It doesn't matter if this is a 30-year-old son or daughter, or if it's a 3-year-old. As a parent loses a child, because in the progression of life, that's just not normal, right?
Yeah.
For a parent to have to bury a child. So the heartbreak of that, and I've been there for several. Without getting into details, I mean, I've been there on several instances like that, and I've had to do death notifications, and it's just heart-wrenching because, as a father and having 2 boys and a daughter myself, you can't help but think about, what if this was my kid?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no.
And some of those things you can't control, and I think that's one of the things you learn. In a profession where you try to control everything, in the reality of life, control. What do you really have control over?
Right.
I can't control what another individual is going to do. All I can do is train these officers to be prepared for the worst situation they could possibly be involved in, and hope for the best outcome. Make sure. And I tell my training staff this all the time. If something was to happen, I don't want to sit here and be able to, dissect it and go, if only I had done this, or if I'd have done that. I need to be able to say that I did everything within my means and my power and financially, possible to train, prepare, equip them with everything they can possibly have to survive.
But it's with that effort that you guys put into what you're doing is what makes it so special. And the constant interactions that you guys have with traumatic situations or violent situations where things need to be de-escalated, and the public, not we, but the public expects perfection. It's not always perfect, but just hearing what you talk about, the emphasis you place on this and the importance that it has within you and your department, it speaks volumes to how blessed we are to have the law enforcement that we have. Marc McMain, when we come back, more with Chief Watts.
Are you considering selling your house or land, or perhaps find your dream home? Call Stacy McCullers, your trusted real estate expert. With 12 years of experience and a lifelong connection to Walton County, Stacy is here to help you every step of the way. Whether you're buying or selling, she's available anytime to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. Don't wait. Call today, 678-859-6336. A member of Malcolm & Malcolm Realty Professionals. Stacy McCullers, your realtor for life.
Your family and friends will love the Christmas gifts from Stripling's General Store. See their huge selection of holiday gift boxes with smoked sausage, country cured ham, beef jerky, jellies, old-fashioned hoop cheese, barbecue sauce, and more. Choose a pre-made box, or you can put together a box that fits your needs and budget. Jimmy Cap, his family and staff wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Stripling's General Store, Highway 78 East and Highway 53 in Bogart.
What matters most at Walton EMC? Reliability. With 99.99% reliability, we power lives around the clock. From investing in renewable energy to strengthening our grid, we're always working to keep your power on, even when severe weather strikes. And when it's needed, you can count on our skilled teams 24/7 to quickly restore your service. Walton EMC, investing energy in what matters most. Learn more at waltonemc.com.
Affordable housing is just around the corner at Cimarron Park. Cimarron Park is a mobile community located on Harry Arnold Road, just off of Highway 78 in Monroe, that offers 2- and 3-bedroom homes with spacious wooded lots, lit streets, and a family-friendly atmosphere. Some homes are for sale with available financing. Call James for all the details. 404-401-1068. That's 404-401-1068. Or go to CimarronPark.com.
You know how your grandma always told you things were better in the country, right? Boy, was she right. This is Lance Goodson from Loganville Ford, and great deals on new and used cars, trucks, and SUVs can be found out in the country at Loganville Ford. Here, when you walk in, you feel like family. I grew up with my mother and father serving you at Loganville Ford for over the last 20 years. Now the tradition continues with me at Loganville Ford. Find out how deals are better in the country. Visit LoganvilleFord.com. That's LoganvilleFord.com, or visit us on Highway 78 in Loganville.
Roll-Off Systems of Statham, they're on a roll. They offer dumpsters in all sizes, trash compactors, porta potties, and new combo cans. Existing sites are new building sites. Trash and waste disposal, it's their business. Locally owned and operated. Call Roll-Off Systems today. 770-725-ROLL. That's 770-725-ROLL. Or go to rolloffsystems.com.
And welcome back to the Marc McMain Show, continuing our conversation with Chief R.V. Watts. He is the chief of the City of Monroe Police Department. Chief, we'll shift gears a little bit, something a little bit more positive and uplifting. Now let's talk about the shop with the cop. I know there's all kinds of entities around us that do variations of this event, but you guys have your own specific one that you do for the City of Monroe.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. So this is, something as well that Chief Glass started many years ago with just helping a couple of families, and then it just started growing progressively, over the years, and then there was this need, and there's always a need. There's always someone who falls on hard times, and I think it's our civil obligation as human beings just to help people, right? I mean, right. I know personally I have found myself where I wasn't financially well-to-do and needed some help.
And think about your start, your humble beginnings.
Absolutely,
that's right.
And I think that's, if you ask me as a leader, from a leadership standpoint, and I tell my command staff this all the time, always be a humble leader. Always be a humble leader. Think before you speak. Never make a decision while you're mad or angry, because it's always going to come back to bite you in the rear.
That's right.
So just take the time to kind of calm down. And now I wish I could sit here and tell you that I always do that, but that's not necessarily the case. But afterwards, when I review it over in my head, I'm like, why did I do that?
That's when we have all the clarity in the world after the smoke settles.
Right. but yeah, he started this many years ago, and then it's grown from there. And in fact, and then shout out to one of my officers, Major Mac McClung. He started this SWAT trot the last couple of years, which we do that 5K at the police department, and it grew from last year to this year. So that's helped fund the shop with a cop, and then we get people who donate from different organizations to the department And then we go through the fish, through Cindy Little, which vet out families to make sure these are legitimate families that have fallen on hard times.
Yep.
And then, this year, again, we're going to be able to sponsor twice as many families. We raised twice the amount of money we did last year. So and that's next, or December 11th, whatever the 11th is, next Thursday, I think maybe. We'll start at 4:30. You'll see us up at Walmart with all our officers. We don't typically post pictures, unless the families want it, because it's not about us.
Right.
It's about making a difference. And I tell you, if you ever get a chance, and maybe you should come out, and be a part of this, because it's such a blessing. That statement is better to give than to receive. When you go around shopping with a little 6-7-year-old, and then the kid, instead of thinking of themselves, that says, "Hey, can I go over here and get my mom this or that?" You're like, man.
Yeah, they're thinking of somebody else that they can bless.
That shows you the true heart of a kid.
I love that. That's just awesome.
Yeah, and so that's a blessing to do it. I think a lot of people get frustrated, because it does, tap into their time away from their home and family stuff. But once you get involved and you go do the shop with a cop and spend time with these kids, what a blessing it is, for you to be a part of it.
No, I love those programs. Again, I know we had some people on a few weeks ago with Shop with the Hero, which I think that was associated with the county, with the sheriff's department.
Yep.
But I was made aware of this about 4 or 5 years ago, that these events were going on, and what a rewarding event, not just for, like you said, the law enforcement, that idea, but for those children to have somebody, because look, everybody loves law enforcement.
Yes.
And there was a spell where some of the nut jobs in our country tried to, twist that, and that didn't take, and it didn't last, and it especially didn't take out here, in our neck of the woods.
That's correct.
We everybody in our community loves our law enforcement, and to see that, and I think that it benefits in so many different ways, because it isn't just that moment, that one-on-one moment where you're going and you're doing something wonderful for, like you said, a 6 or 8-year-old who's on hard times, who maybe wouldn't normally have Christmas gifts, but it's also demonstrating to them how genuinely good law enforcement is.
Absolutely. Because I think, a lot of them get a bad rap. If you ever get a chance to do a ride-along, I don't know if you've ever done a ride-along with these officers, but you should do a ride-along and see what these men and women are subject to on a regular basis in some of these high-crime areas. And of course, with the church, I'm a member of 1025 Church, and our church is pretty good at going into these lower-income areas and showing the love of Christ to these kids. And if you ride on my wife was big in VBS. If you ride on one of those buses and you pick up these kids, you see right away. I mean, they just want somebody to show love.
Yeah.
And within a day or two, man, they're hugging on you and tell you how much they appreciate you and stuff. That's really all a kid wants, is to feel valued and feel loved and
yes.
Well, and that's actually one of my topic lines that I wanted to ask you about. And you're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Chief R.V. Watts. He is the Chief of Police of the City of Monroe. The engagement with younger residents, I think, can make such an improvement for the future. What do you guys do outside of, you talked about the church stuff, but are there other things that the City of Monroe Police Department can do to endear children into that capacity? So, hey, we want you to be on the right side of the tracks, right? Is there any efforts that can be taken to intervene, especially in these areas that are maybe a higher propensity for crime, or somebody to grow up in a crime area, in a crime neighborhood?
Well, that's the thing is, kids that get involved in gangs, the whole reason they're getting involved in gang activity is because they're lacking that family unit
That's right.
at home. So they're wanting to be a part of a family unit there. And so from a law enforcement perspective, we're good at catching an individual who's broken the law. We're good at holding them accountable, bringing them to justice. And we send them to, and especially juvenile, we'll send them to YDC. But I think statistics show that if they're not a part of a gang when they go to YDC, they're going to be a part of a gang when they get out.
So it's almost contradictory.
It's really a parenting problem, and you have so many broken homes that don't have the mom and dad in the home anymore.
Yeah.
So it's left up to the mother, and the mother usually has to go to work every day, and so the child's left unattended at home. And then they fall prey to the streets, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then they see, the other individuals out here who are selling drugs and wearing the name brand jeans or pants and shoes, and then they want the same things, and that's how they get involved.
And that's where the churches have to be involved, right?
You got to have that constant mentorship.
Yeah.
You got to have consistency. Same way with raising a kid. You can't raise a child at home and not have interaction in that child's life and expect the kid to grow up with
That's
good
right.
morals and values
Yeah.
and ethics. So you have to have consistency there. And so there's all these programs we can do to try to mitigate some of that, but you have to have consistency.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. And from the law enforcement perspective, we try to hire officers, men and women, that have that compassion and understanding and mercy, that not everybody needs to go to jail, not everybody needs to get a ticket. If you can make a difference or if you can talk to someone, then do that. Some people, they do need to go to jail. Some
That's
people
right.
do need to have a ticket.
Yeah.
But try to make a difference where you can.
I hate to bring this up right now, Chastity, but she was driving a truck when she was 8 years old. Maybe too late to ticket her, Chief, but yeah, she
It was in Young Harris, and there was no traffic. It was the Orange Blossom Special, as my dad would
she
call
was
it.
a terror on the streets, Chief. She was a terror.
No, that taught me good skills at a young age. But I mean,
It's
I
just-
would drive my car down to the bus stop every morning too. So.
At 8?
She must have been fantastic because she's learning to fly a plane now. So she's obviously very
wow.
gifted
Yeah.
and got great hand-eye coordination.
There you go.
But I do frown on anybody driving at 8 years old in the city of Monroe. I don't think that's accepted, is it, Chief?
No, it's not. But for most kids that grew up in the country, that's not uncommon. They start out driving a tractor and
Yep.
driving a
Tractor, absolutely.
Right.
Bush
I think we
hogs,
bring that up
yes.
about once a week for Chastity. Let her know. Chief, one final question. And again, I greatly appreciate you visiting with us today. I know you're a busy man. What is your vision, biggest hopes for Monroe over, say, next 5 or 10 years?
Well, I hope that we continue the culture and climate that we have in the police department. I know there's a lot of growth coming to the city, a lot of positive growth. I know the city has its hands, challenged with trying to have that positive growth and maintaining that, and then having the infrastructure that can support the demand that's put on that growth, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's got opinions. I tell people all the time, that everybody wants to tell you how to drive the bus that's never sat in the driver's seat,
Yep.
right? And of course, in leadership, you hear the phrases of that's the burden of command. You make good decisions and bad decisions, you have to own them either way.
That's right. Yeah.
But I think for me, in regards to the City of Monroe Police Department, is to continue with that same climate and culture. We have a family atmosphere of an organization. I mean, I love the men and women that serve in this organization. We've been through a lot of trials and tribulation together.
Yeah.
And that family comes together and supports one another and loves one another. And I hope that continues. It doesn't lose that personal touch, that family feel. And that's just one bad decision away from that. Once I retire, if they put the wrong person in this position, that can change that whole climate and culture.
In the culture, right.
So and again, before I leave, the relationships that my organization, the City of Monroe Police Department, has with the Sheriff's Office, with Loganville, with Social Circle, and with Georgia State Patrol, and even with your Walton Fire, Monroe Fire, all these public safety, EMS. It's such a bond, and it's special.
You work
Walton,
so good together.
But it's a special relationship in Walton County that I know I understand that, and those individuals that are leading those organizations understand that. But I don't know that the citizens fully understand how great that works. I mean, I can pick up the phone and call any one of those heads of those agencies and have something done immediately if I need it.
The collaboration is
Absolutely.
just incredible.
It's so important. Communication is key, right?
And I agree with you, Chief. You have an incredible team. I've met a lot of your officers, and they are wonderful men and women. And I've met some of your administration staff, everyone from top to bottom. You've got a great culture, great team over there, and I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate your service to our country and your service to our community, and thank you for keeping us safe.
Well, I appreciate you having me on today, Mark, and I really want to say how much I appreciate you. You've always been a big supporter of our law enforcement community. You do that event every year
love you
up
guys.
at
Yeah.
Bojangles,
Thank you.
Feed 'em guys. And so we need more men and women like you that's willing to serve in the community. And I know you're running for office as well. Anything we can do to help and support you in that manner as well.
Well, I'll tell you, you guys can eat.
Yeah, right.
When you invite a law enforcement officer to lunch, you better prepare to break out the wallet because those boys can put away some food. But no, it's a blessing. Lillian and I love doing it, and I mean it when I tell you it's one of the highlights of our year when we host those events. So we appreciate that. Well, this has been a blast. When we come back, we have we go from Chief Harvey Watt, City of Monroe, to Chief Dick Lowry, Chief of Police, Loganville. Stick around.
This is Q92.3, WMOQ FM, Bostwick, Monroe, Madison. Your home for real country.
This Christmas, K&D Shoes and Conyers has got the perfect gifts for the man on your Christmas list. Check out their huge selection of rugged workwear to athletic footwear from Hoka. Help him step out in style, and a brand new pair of jeans from Marriott. Great for work or a night on the town. If boots are on the Christmas list, see their great selection of boots from Marriott, Georgia Boot, Rocky, Brunt, and more. Not sure what to buy? Then check out the gift cards. One size fits all. This Christmas, your one-stop shop for the man on your Christmas list is K&D Shoes. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. 2240 Dogwood Drive in Conyers. That's K&D Shoes in Conyers. To learn more, go to kndshoes.com. Merry Christmas from K&D Shoes.
Madison Flooring, located at 1167 Eatonton Road in Madison, is your full-service and professional installation center for all kinds of flooring, from tile, carpet, laminate, wood. They even do showers. They have granite and quartz countertops. All military, police, firefighters, and teachers ask for your discount. Madison Flooring is locally owned and operated. For knowledgeable and friendly service, call 706-431-5152.
Foy Tree Service, a name and business you have trusted for many years, is proud to announce Foy Septic Service, offering septic tank pumping, repairs, installs, and more. Serving Morgan County, Lake Oconee, and the surrounding area. It's recommended that your septic tank be pumped and serviced every 3 to 5 years, depending on your septic tank system. That's Foy Septic Service, locally owned and operated. Call Brandon at 706-319-2997.
As we continue to struggle with increasing prices on everything from food to gas to clothing and school supplies, all of us are facing stress on our budget. At Oliver Insurance and Financial Service, while they cannot impact all the areas of increase, Oliver Insurance offers a no-obligation comparison of your present home and auto insurance from the 9 carriers they represent. They also offer commercial, boat, RVs, and life insurance. Call 770-978-9470 to start a quick comparison or visit the website oliverfinancial.com.
Willfully Guided Company Boots and Western Apparel in downtown Monroe is celebrating their 1-year anniversary and invites you to join the fun and savings. Now through Saturday, December 6th, you can take advantage of deals and giveaways on your favorite brands like Ariat, Wrangler, Twisted X, and others at Willfully Guided. Every day brings a new deal that'll knock your boots off. So save now through Saturday, December 6th at Willfully Guided Company Boots and Western Apparel in beautiful downtown Monroe. This holiday season, shop small, y'all.
And welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. Our next guest is Chief Dick Lowry. He is the Chief of Police, City of Loganville. Thank you for joining us, sir.
My pleasure. Glad to be here, Mark.
Well, I know you're a busy man. You're spread thin. It was great having Chief Watts here just a few minutes ago, and for you to have you guys stacked back to back. We brought in some ultimate firepower today, so this is a lot of fun for us.
I'll try not to let you down.
No, you're going to do great. Okay. Chief, tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself, maybe your background, where you grew up, and family, things like that.
Well, I actually grew up in Loganville. We moved there from Decatur when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
Went all the way through school there in Loganville, me and my sister both, and graduated from Loganville High School.
Okay, yeah.
Other than being gone, I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years, so I was gone.
So straight out of high school, did you go into the Marine Corps?
No, I worked in construction for a couple of years and pretty quickly figured out that really wasn't
your calling in life.
That
yeah,
I wanted to be. I honestly, I'd always, from the time I was a child, wanted to be a police officer. As I tell people sometimes, I played a lot of cops and robbers as a kid, and I just never got over it.
Yeah.
But my father was a DeKalb County police officer.
Okay, so you had law enforcement in the family.
Yes,
yeah.
He went to work for DeKalb County back in 1958.
Wow.
And worked there up until he passed away in October of 1977.
Okay.
And he was still actively working then. He was a lieutenant. And I guess, growing up with it and watching him, get dressed and put all his equipment on and that kind of thing.
So you were young when Dad passed away then?
Yes, I was 12.
Wow.
I was 12 years old.
Okay. Yeah, so that's and what was the moment when you decided? So you're fiddling around in construction. You said, "Hey, this isn't for me."
Well,
why the Marine Corps? What was the deciding factor with that?
I had toyed with it and really looked at joining the Marine Corps straight out of high school.
Okay.
And at the time, when you're a teenager, you think young love is forever love, and I had a girlfriend that really wasn't enamored with the thought of me being in the Marine Corps. So,
and that usually doesn't work too well.
No, it doesn't. And so that didn't last very long. And then, honestly, in the construction business I was doing cable TV construction, underground cable.
Yeah.
Well, when it rains, you can't work because you're destroying people's yards.
Yeah.
So we still had to report in, but then you go home and you don't get paid. And so I went home and I turned on the TV, and the Marine Corps always had the best recruiting commercials.
That's right. Yeah.
And one of those came on, and I went out and got my truck and drove to the recruiting center in Lawrenceville and signed up that day.
So question, so we just had Chief Watts on an hour ago, or the last hour, and he talked about that moment getting off the bus, and so what was that an awakening for you as well? Like, hey, what did I just get myself into?
Well, it was, and I was a little bit older than most of the recruits, a couple of years older.
Yeah.
And I ended up, and I guess I really didn't think about it at the time that we set my departure date to go to boot camp. But I actually left to go to boot camp on my mother's birthday.
Oh, my.
I'm not sure she ever really got over that, truthfully. But
oh my.
I did. And when you get there, and it's just like you envision. It's the yellow footprints, and their drill instructors get on the bus, and they're yelling at you before you ever even get off the bus. And it's really a whirlwind the first few days.
I bet.
And but I honestly, my intention, I really enjoyed it. I like being a Marine. I was lucky enough, I got selected to work in embassy security.
I had that, so I was hoping that was right. Tell me about that, because that's pretty fascinating.
It's a program that's been in place, I want to say it's 1949 is when they first started doing it, but all of the embassies and consulates and legations, basically all the diplomatic missions that the U.S. has all over the world, the internal security for those buildings and the personnel there is done by the Marine Corps.
Okay.
It's through an agreement with the State Department. And it's a pretty stringent selection process. You have to qualify for a very high security clearance because of what you could
the sensitive material closely. Yeah, that's right.
So, and then I was selected, and you go to school. The school for it is in Quantico, Virginia, and as soon as you get there, it's like you're totally immersed in this culture of being in an embassy. They even answer the telephone in Quantico, U.S. Embassy,
to replicate
Quantico,
the whole
Virginia.
experience.
Totally replicated.
How long was that for?
The school, I want to say the school was 8 weeks, I believe.
Yeah.
And so they had a program at that time when we got ready to graduate, and it's a pretty high attrition rate. I want to say it was 30 or 35% of everybody that starts school doesn't finish for one reason or another.
Yeah.
And so if you were in the top 5 graduates of the class, you got to pick basically where you were going to go for your first duty assignment. So when I went in to see the sergeant major and he said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Sergeant Major, I really don't care, but there's only 2 things I ask you to take into account. I didn't sign up to do this to go somewhere nice. I want to go somewhere people don't go on vacation and that nobody I know can find on a globe or a map."
So you want to go? You want to do something unique and specific?
Great.
I thought you were going to say someplace with a beach and sunny shores.
A lot of guys did. They picked. So I want to go to Kingston, Jamaica, or go to Paris, France.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. So
where did they put you?
Bujumbura, Burundi. And,
I'd have to get on a globe and figure out where this is. I don't even know if I know where it is.
East Central Africa.
Wow.
It borders Rwanda, right in the center of Africa. And so he asked me that question. He said, well, how about Bujumbura, Burundi? I said, well, where is that? He said, I think it meets your criteria. And he was right. It did. I didn't know where it was at. And so I ended up going there, and it's one of those places where you can't get there from here.
So you're having to take several.
Oh yes, I flew out of Washington D.C. I flew from D.C. to Paris, from Paris to Frankfurt, Germany to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia to Kigali, Rwanda, and then from Kigali to Bujumbura. It was a 3-day.
And are you taking commercial flights, or are these all military flights?
No, it's commercial. We traveled in civilian clothes, no military ID, no dog tags, any of that kind
Fascinating.
of thing. Yeah.
You listen to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest, if you're just tuning in, our guest now is Chief Dick Lowry. He is the chief of the City of Loganville Police Department. Last hour we had Chief Harvey Watts on. And I find this fascinating because I think people don't take into account the complexities of being part of the security ensemble at an embassy. What was that like? What was the experience like on site? Was it relatively quiet and
not necessarily. I mean, certainly it depends on where you go.
Right.
But there's always not only a terrorist threat to every embassy in the world. There's always a terrorist threat, so we had a lot of training to do with that, counterterrorism.
But a lot of the countries over there were in turmoil.
Not friendly.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. In Africa, at that point in time in Africa, and this was before. Now the U.S. military has an Africa command. That wasn't the case then.
Yeah, because if something breaks out, you guys are almost on your own.
Much it. The way they would put it to us back in those days in Africa. The closest military response to us was from Germany.
Wow.
And that's a long way.
That's a long way. And how big, I don't want you to share any secret stuff if you can't, but how big was that security detail at that embassy at the time?
Well, it depends on which embassies, and they range. Like in most of the smaller countries in Africa, you have either 5 or 6 watchstanders and one detachment commander, so 6 or 7 of us is it, and you work shifts 24 hours a day. You might have to do additional duties for personal protective services for ambassadors or visiting senators and things like that. You get selected to do temporary duty, like I went up and helped provide security for a NATO summit. You get to do.
So you're going off on little.
I got to work in 32 countries in 4 years.
Wow. Well, and again, just like I told Chief Watts, I appreciate your service to our country. I know that's a huge undertaking for a young man to get involved in. How long? How many years total did you serve in the Marine Corps?
6 years.
Was that a precursor for you then? Was that all you needed to then when you get out to get into law enforcement?
Yes, I actually started applying for law enforcement jobs toward the end of my service. I was still on active duty and sending out applications and things like that because I knew that's what I wanted.
That was your calling, yeah.
And I ended up my first law enforcement job I think I started a month or 2 after I got home from the Marine Corps. It wasn't very long. I was at the Clark County Sheriff's Office down in Athens, working in the jail, and it really wasn't where I wanted to be. I wanted to work in Walton, but they weren't hiring at the time.
Okay,
it's a little different now. Everybody's always hiring.
Sure,
it used to be that way.
Right.
And so I took the job in Athens, and I only worked there a few months. And I had applied at Walton County, and I got the call to come in, and I was actually hired and worked under the late Sheriff Franklin Thornton. He's the one that hired me.
Yep.
And it was very different than the way things are today. I think the respect was a little different that we faced, and just Sheriff Thornton was in office for 28 years. He got elected in 1968 and was sheriff until he passed away, and just by just happenstance, I actually have the very last deputy sheriff ID card that Sheriff Thornton ever signed.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And I came in at a time and worked. Sheriff Brooks and I, Keith, we worked together on the same shift in the jail.
So getting the same start time as he did.
Well, he started a little bit before I did. He was already there when I came to work.
You feel that military experience is a good starter for law enforcement? Is that give you a little bit of a leg up?
Absolutely, and we look at that even when we hire today. I mean, if I can hire a veteran, I want to, and I think the biggest thing for it is they learn. In the military, it's a very strict chain of command.
Chain of command, yep.
It's a very there's a standard operating procedure for everything,
yep.
And it's very much those things are very similar. You learn to operate in high stress environments and stay calm under pressure and work a lot of times.
I would imagine that's a huge advantage.
Yes,
yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, being through those stressful situations in military, then when you face it in law enforcement, it's not the first time that you're facing a moment of duress.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, more with Chief Dick Lowry. He's the Chief of Police in the city of Loganville.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
Your call is very important.
Still waiting on your cable company to care? With slow speeds and hidden fees, maybe it's time to pull the plug. Kinetic gives you 100% fiber and gig speeds with 25 times faster uploads than cable. Local service that actually shows up, and clear pricing that isn't there to surprise you. So ditch cable and connect with the right crowd. Get up to $200 when you switch. Visit GoKinetic.com. Kinetic. Internet better. Subject to availability. Terms and conditions apply.
The Broughton Country Store Farm and Estate Sale is happening this Thursday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 4127 Broughton Road in New Bern. Over 10 buildings full of antiques, collectibles, silver coins, country store items, one-of-a-kind pieces, and so much more. Special antique vendors, live music, and delicious food. You don't want to miss the Broughton Country Store Farm and Estate Sale at 4127 Broughton Road in New Bern, happening Thursday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
April Lynn here, inviting you to join me and Les Lane on December the 6th for a live remote broadcast at Patrick's in Covington from 10 until 1. There'll be lots of giveaways starting at 10:15 and a drawing every 15 minutes for a gift certificate for Patrick's merchandise. Real Country will be giving away Real Country t-shirts, tickets to Stone Mountain, and more. Sure to check out the largest candy counter and fruit baskets and pecans located at 10285 Covington Bypass. We'll be live on location with Real Country.
This Christmas shopping season, give the gift of outdoors from Outdoor Specialty, serving Watkinsville and the surrounding area since 2002 with a wide variety of plants, trees, shrubs, ground cover, and more. Plus, you'll find a full line of irrigation supplies like sprinkler heads, pipe replacement parts, and more. Add some beauty to someone's home with a huge selection of pottery, landscape stones, mulch, and more. In the Garden Center, see their great selection of bird houses, bird feeders, and don't forget the Cole's bird seed. The deer love Christmas too. Be sure to pick up some of Elsie's apple-flavored deer corn. This Christmas, stop in and say hello to Elsie, Diane, and their friendly staff at Outdoor Specialty, 1460 Greensboro Highway in Watkinsville. Wishing you and your family the very best this Christmas season. Call 706-769-8737 again, or go to OutdoorSpecialtyNursery.com.
Welcome back. Marc McMain, our guest, is Chief Lowry. He is the chief of the City of Loganville Police Department. Chief, you're telling us about your time as security at the embassy in the Marine Corps. So you serve your time in the military. You come back, you enter civilian life, then you get into law enforcement. And I was doing my digging last night, and I saw that you were actually in charge of the SWAT department at the Walton County Sheriff's Department. Tell us about that time.
Well, I had a variety of assignments at the sheriff's office. I mean, I think I was really lucky in that regard. I started out like most of us did back then. I worked in the jail, I worked patrol, I worked in criminal investigations, narcotics, training, all these different things. But I think for me, the most meaningful thing, and the thing that I loved the most was I was a commander of CERT team, which is the county SWAT team. CERT is the acronym for Sheriff's Emergency Response Team.
Okay.
And I was actually one of the founding members of it when we first started it. And then not very long after that, I took over as the commander, and we added a little more people, a little more equipment, and a lot more training. And you know, it's even now, I look at it where they're at today versus where when
you began
started.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very gratifying for me to see, and it really started under Sheriff Chapman. Of course, Sheriff Brooks has continued it to really fund it the way it has to be funded, because there's nothing to do with SWAT operations and equipment that's cheap.
That's right.
It takes a lot of money.
Have you seen that machine they've got, that truck?
Yes.
That is a behemoth.
Well, and I say, you know, I know there's people question, well, why do you have to have something like that? Well, I can tell you, in Loganville, they had at the time, it was a surplus military vehicle. And if you never had anybody shooting at you with a fully automatic weapon, you don't understand how valuable that tool is.
Hey,
if we had not had one on scene that night,
think of that. Think of the casualties. That's right.
100%.
And I don't question it one bit. It's a beautiful machine, and if it keeps our men and women safe, then let's get two of them. Yeah,
I agree.
Yep.
But I did that, and what ended up kind of happening with me, I had a training accident. It was 100% my fault. It wasn't anything anybody else did. We were practicing, which is a terrible thing to have to do, but we were working on hostage rescues for a school bus. And, you know, on the school bus, the back door is not a full-size door.
Right.
It's smaller. And every time we get ready to run a evolution of it, the last thing I would say to guys was, watch your head, watch your head, watch your head.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of the guys had to leave. We weren't quite through training, but had to go on shift. So I said, all right, I'm going to jump in and we'll finish it out. And the very first evolution I ran in that stack of guys going into the bus, I didn't watch my head and cracked it just as hard as I could on that door frame.
Mercy.
And, of course, I was wearing a helmet, but immediately both my arms went numb and that kind of thing. And I thought, you know, I mean, when I was younger, I played football a little bit. You get a stinger, you can be okay.
Right.
And turned out I wasn't okay. And even though it sounds really stupid to my own ears to say it now, I walked around essentially from October until February when I had to have surgery.
No way.
With a broken neck. Yeah.
Did you know that it was brokenness in this time?
Well, I knew it was bad. I knew I could push my fingers on the side of my neck and get relief from
Chief,
the pain.
mercy.
Really, I know it sounds really stupid now.
Well,
but I did have to have surgery, and I've since related to that. I've had a total of 3 spine surgeries from that.
Did everything kind of come back since feelings come back?
Pretty much. A little bit on my left hand. I can still get a little tinglies. It's a little weaker than it used to be. But it basically meant that's it for SWAT.
Yeah.
You know, and that had become, and it does for a lot of the guys, you know, 100% the guys that are on there now. and their skill level is so high now.
When you guys were
part of
forming
their
this,
life.
well, when you formed this team, and you said this was the first team, the first
Right.
SWAT organization that Walton County had, are you bringing in an outside expert to train y'all? Are there manuals? I mean, how do you build something like this?
Some of both. I mean, a lot of it we based on because of working in the embassies. I had trained in both, not only from the Marine Corps, but the Department of Diplomatic Security, U.S. Secret Service. We worked with, from time to time we would have traveling training teams that come in from special operations that work with us.
Okay.
So I had some of that, and then we sought out
I
training.
think a buddy of
that was
mine,
out there.
David Adderhold, does that ring a bell?
Oh, yeah, good friend of mine.
Yeah, David.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that was his specialty.
David got training from David. Babe still at DeKalb County back then. Absolutely, yeah. All those kind of things. And then we sent guys, and they still do. You're going to have to send them places to get training. We had guys go all over the country getting, high-level training that come back and teach it to other guys, and then these guys go to a different school, and there are a lot of different theories on SWAT operations. So, what works for Los Angeles might not work for Walton County, Georgia. So you take all those things and put them in your tool bag, and then you
figure out what applies here.
Build what works for you where you're doing it.
That makes sense. Yeah. Marc McMain Show, our guest is Chief Lowry, Chief of Police, City of Loganville Police Department. Chief, so walk us through then what brought you to Loganville, and tell us about your journey to becoming Chief of Police.
Well, during the after I had my first neck surgery, I was out for quite a while, and I had not been back to work for long at all, maybe a month or two. And Chief Mike McHugh called me one day, and we had worked together when he was at the sheriff's office.
Okay.
So we knew each other well. We were friends already at that time. And he called me and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something. Do you think you could swing by my house on your way home today?" Yeah, okay. So I didn't think that much about it. Think, well, maybe he's got a situation he needs to bounce it off somebody or something like that. So I went by there, and we were sitting on his porch talking, and it just dawned on me. I think he's sitting offering me a job.
He's recruiting you.
Okay. And the assistant chief at that time, Sharon Bray, who had been there a very long time, Sharon was retiring.
Okay.
And so basically I was going to come in as the number 2 person at the PD.
Okay.
And honestly, for me, I knew it was going to be very hard to be within the sheriff. I loved what I was doing. I had the best job at the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
I essentially reported directly to Sheriff Chapman, and took, I really had a great job. I loved what I was doing. But one of the big differences when I looked at comparing them is, quite honestly, Loganville's retirement system is quite a bit different. And what I was looking at the time with this neck injuries, I don't know that I'm going to be able to finish my full career. So if not, I've got to hedge my bets.
Better path for you.
Yeah. So I ended up, I went to Loganville. When I first came in, Sharon was still there.
What year would that have been? That you?
It was June of 2006.
Okay.
When I went
gotcha.
to Loganville.
Yep.
And she was there for just a couple of months until retirement. So when I actually went to work, I was the major over uniform patrol, was what my original job title was. And then shortly after she retired, I was promoted to assistant chief of police, and I stayed in that role for quite some time, up until Chief McHugh retired.
Retired in 2022,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Right.
Let me ask you this. When you look at your background in military and the time you had in law enforcement, what do you think best molded your leadership style now as your chief of police?
I've kind of always, and I still am, I'm a student of leadership, so to speak. And in fact, now I'm using forfeited drug money to send all of my supervisors to. There's 3 levels of this course that's through the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development for supervision, command, executive leadership.
Brilliant.
Sending all of them to it. But I've long been a student of leadership, and I believe from my experience in the Marine Corps, and I've carried it through, and I do my best to still in my current role, is leadership is an art and a science, but it is an art best done by example.
Yeah.
I think that you have to certainly be knowledgeable in a whole lot of different areas to be a successful chief. You don't necessarily have to be an expert in all those areas, but you have to have a working understanding of those areas. And even things as simple as personal appearance, if I come to work every day and I'm not taking pride in the way I look, the way my uniform is, or the way I look to the public and to my officers, then I'm setting the example, telling them they don't have to.
The old saying that the fish stinks from the head down, it also applies to the opposite.
Exactly.
If you shine from the top, it's going to shine down to the bottom. And it's interesting because you talk about your background, and there's so many parallels from Chief Watts that was here before you. You guys had done all these jobs, right? You started at the bottom and you worked your way through the ranks, and you did a myriad of different things. So what better way to prepare you for being chief of police?
I agree. I think it gave me a different perspective, because I have been a detective, I've been a patrol officer, I've been a training officer, I've been a SWAT guy. So I think that variety of experiences does help me, because it helps me to understand it from their
what they're going
perspective, what they're facing. And I think with leadership is something that's really important to me, and I think we have to, in these, not only in our supervisors but our younger officers, you got to start teaching them to be supervisors the day they graduate from the academy.
Yeah.
And, as I'm getting older, I'm not all that far away from being at the end of this career.
So you're having to figure out how you're grooming.
I want all of them to be able
That's
to
right.
do it. I want the next chief certainly to come from within this department. And I think when you have good leadership in a department, even if you can't pay the same as, places within driving distance, even if you don't have this or that, if you've got good leadership, people will stay because of that.
That positive environment is worth something.
Yes, absolutely.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, more with Chief Lowry.
I've got to tell you about the best kept secret in Monroe for electric wholesale supply, Allen's Electric. Family owned and operated since 1972, Allen's Electric offers a complete line of electrical supply, wiring, breakers, bulbs, heating elements, electric motors, light fixtures, and so much more. Located at 925 West Spring Street in Monroe, stop by and see Brian and Cindy, in business for over 50 years. That's Allen Electric Supply, 770-267-5572.
Hey folks, as we wrap up the year, there's no better time to take care of those everyday aches and pains. At the Joint Chiropractic in Covington and Monroe, we make feeling better simple with no appointments and no insurance hassles. And right now, it's our end-of-year promotion. Buy 10 months and get 2 months free on our annual wellness plan. That's 16% or more in savings to help you move better, feel better, and enjoy more of what you love. Stop by the Joint Chiropractic in Covington or Monroe today. Walk in, get adjusted, and feel the difference.
Youngblood Tractor in Madison is proud to be your local Massey Ferguson dealer. Massey Ferguson has been building straightforward, dependable, and affordable tractors and farm equipment for 175 years. Massey Ferguson right now has the best lineup in their 175-year history, and there has never been a better time to upgrade to a Massey Ferguson tractor. Youngblood Tractor carries the complete lineup of Massey Ferguson tractors, ranging from the 22.5 horsepower subcompact all the way up to the 130 horsepower mid-range utility tractor. And with one of the largest trailer inventories in the state, you'll always have a way to get it home. Youngblood Tractor also carries the complete lineup of hay equipment, including the legendary Massey Ferguson 1840 square baler, as well as implements like rotary cutters, batwing cutters, box blades, grapples, pallet forks, and more. There are great financing promotions to take advantage of, so give us a call today at 706-342-2242. Youngblood Tractor also has experienced parts and service departments to take care of you after the sale. Visit us online at www.youngbloodtractor.com or stop by and see us at 1600 Athens Highway in Madison.
If you're in the construction business, you're going to need a dumpster at some point in time, and that's why you need to call Atha Equipment Rental in Monroe, now offering 20 and 30-yard cans. Atha Equipment Rental now offers a complete line of landscape and construction equipment like tools, trenchers, floor sanders, jackhammers, and so much more, like rentals for your parties with tables, chairs, popcorn machines, Dunkin' booths, and more. Call Jason Atha at 770-207-6041. That's Atha Equipment Rental on East Spring Street in Monroe.
Serving Loganville and the surrounding area for over 25 years, it's the Main Street Barbershop, 305 Main Street next to Braxton's Auction in downtown Loganville, offering old-fashioned service and modern-day styles. Appointments available and walk-ins welcome. Open Tuesday through Saturday with a friendly staff and atmosphere. That's Main Street Barbershop in downtown Loganville. Call 770-554-3300 or go to mainstreetbarberloganville.com to learn more.
And welcome back. Marc McMain, our guest, is Chief Lowry. He is the Chief of Police, City of Loganville. So we were discussing in the break, Chief, the culture. You talked about when you were a child. Your father was a law enforcement officer at DeKalb County PD.
Right.
And you knew as a young man, you're like, hey, I want to follow in Dad's footsteps.
Right.
And fast forward to 2020, I know there was a certain spell of law enforcement officers telling their kids, hey, maybe you need to rethink this, right? And so where are we now in this? Because this is I've been saying it for the past 5 years. If we lose this momentum where kids want to be police officers, it's going to be trouble down the road.
I think we've definitely seen a change since 2020. I mean, it went pretty low, and we're seeing it come back. We're actually, as far as officers go, I have to knock on wood when I say this, I've got 2 that are starting the academy in January. That will actually put us at full staff for
Good
officers.
for you. Good for you. Yeah.
Now, we were talking on the break. My son is of that age, and he's talked about it back and forth a few times. And I find myself, even though I'm a police chief, in that same dilemma, because it's not the same as when I started. But at the same time, we've got to have good quality people that believe in things bigger than themselves.
That's right.
And I think that's what we're really lacking. And I think what happened, well, I know it's what happened, when these numbers of officers, and it's nationwide, recruiting crisis.
Right.
The only thing that anybody knew to do was throw money at it. And that's a great thing, because these officers should get paid more than they do for what they're asked
Amen to
do.
Yep.
But it really didn't make that much difference in our numbers. And I think what's got to change is the culture and the leadership, and showing these folks why what we do matters. Despite the naysayers who always have the loudest voices, that the people in our communities still need you, they still want you, they still support you, and they understand that you're being asked to do a difficult and extremely dangerous job at times with very little reward.
Well, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, Chief, it is incumbent upon civilians to step in and help in that role. We can't just expect elected officials and law enforcement to fix the problem themselves. And what I mean by that is roll up your sleeves and get involved.
Yes, I agree. And more, I'll tell you, and it's a pet peeve of mine, and I don't know, maybe it makes me a weirdo, but it really is. If I go into Walmart or McDonald's, and there's a parent there with a 5-6-year-old child.
Yeah.
And they say, and I've heard it so many times over the years, you better be good or he's going to get you.
Yeah.
Well, you're teaching your child to be afraid of
That's
you.
right.
You're teaching them exactly the wrong thing. And I used to be silent about it, and I'm not silent. And I'll say, listen, I try and be out of the way. You're teaching your child to be scared of me. You need to be teaching them to come to me when they need help.
Better thing to say would be, hey, go up and thank him for serving the community.
We see that. Right. And, we're really lucky in Loganville. All year long, particularly this time of year, we get people bringing pies and cakes and meals. But it's not at all uncommon now. And we didn't see it, in 20, 25 years ago, where folks just, buy our officers' meals, or even if they're in a hurry and they're going through the drive-thru and they get up there to pay, say, no, the guy in front of you took care of it. And those just small gestures to let these officers know, and they're in a position, they're not ever going to be able to make everybody happy.
Right.
That's just not part of the job that we do. We're going to make people angry sometimes, but just people coming up and saying just simply, hey, I appreciate what you do.
Goes a long way.
It goes a lot further than people think it does.
Loganville's got its growth. I call it the gateway city. People come from the west. They come from DeKalb, Fulton, and Gwinnett counties, and they come out this way. And typically the first stop sometimes is in Loganville. So you probably have a lot of influx of new residents. What problems does that present for Loganville?
Loganville's a little bit unique. Is we're actually we're in both Walton and Gwinnett counties.
Yep.
It's primarily Walton. There's a relatively small amount in Gwinnett, but like for our officers, that puts them working with 2 different district attorneys' offices, 2 different court systems, and things like that. It's a little bit difficult at times, but I think what we're seeing in Loganville, and I don't think we're necessarily unique in that, is that people look at it and say, this is a good community, it's a safe community, it's got these amenities, we want to live here. Well, everybody feels that way.
That's right.
And so you get this influx of people, and when that happens, it starts changing things like how easy it is to get from one place to another, and with traffic and the schools that are we have great schools in Loganville, but the more people that come in, the more students that they have to do, and all of those things.
Typical problems of growth.
Growth, and Loganville's. I'm not by any means an infrastructure expert, but with that growth comes the tremendous expense of expanding infrastructure, water and sewer and utilities and roads and all of those things, and it doesn't necessarily always keep up with the housing boom.
Well, and it also means 911 gets dialed more often.
Yes,
you guys
it does. It does increase just by the sheer numbers of population. It doesn't necessarily mean it's all horrible crime that's coming in, but just the sheer number of people increasing is going to increase the cost for service for the police department, the fire department, everybody.
Does it place an additional burden on you when you've got more, significant things taking place in Loganville that you have to get out there and communicate to the public, whether it be public safety announcements and saying, hey, beware, be careful? I mean, it's,
It does, and we try to smartly utilize social media. We have different accounts, and by no means am I the expert at it, but I've got folks that are really good at it.
Sure.
But sometimes
get your message
they want
out.
to hear from the chief.
Yep, right.
And it's difficult because there's a huge difference, and I think that line gets blurred from the expectation from the public. But there is a huge, massive difference between right to know and want to know.
That's right. Yep.
And, we can't compromise investigations to satisfy
That's right.
people's curiosity on Facebook.
Yep.
We can't run investigations.
That's what barbershops are for.
And it makes it difficult because, and I get it. People want to know. I get that. But when we're looking at particularly a very serious case, our focus is on getting justice for that family.
Yep.
And making sure the perpetrator of that crime gets to visit Sheriff Brooks' brand new facility.
They get a tour on the inside.
That's right.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Chief Lowry. He is the Chief of Police, City of Loganville. I joke, but when I do want the scoop and I know I can't go to the chief, I just go get my hair cut at Main Street Barbershop, sit down in the chair, and I start asking questions. And they
probably knows more than I do.
Oh, they know everything that's going on.
Absolutely.
The squirrel farts, they know the first thing. They know where it's happening. Chief, tell us about the shop with the hero, because Chief Watts has the shop with the cop, and you guys have something similar.
The shop with the hero is one of two charity type events that we do every year. We do a 5K run for Special Olympics in the fall, and then the shop with the hero in December. And so the shop with the hero, most of the virtually all of the coordination for that is actually done by Pastor Russ Butcher and his church at the Grove.
Does a great job.
A tremendous job, and it has grown quite a bit over the years since it was implemented. I want to say we do somewhere between 130 and 140 children right now.
Is that all done in one night, or is it spread out?
We'll be doing it tomorrow morning at 8:30.
Tomorrow's the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they try to get them as best they can to come in it's staggered in stages,
right.
So it's not overwhelming. But the kids come in, and the way that they select these kids, it's not only families that are in need or struggling at Christmas time. It's not only that, but they also, through school counselors and things like that, they also try to identify children or families that have maybe had a negative interaction with law enforcement. Maybe a family member got arrested or whatever it might be. And so that they get a positive reaction and see a different side.
It's a great idea.
It
I love
really
that.
is.
Yeah.
And we do. It's not only Loganville Police Department. We'll have folks, a lot of people from the Sheriff's Office will be there in the morning. We have firefighters that participate, EMS guys that participate. We have a really good turnout of first responders of different kinds. And they pair us up with a child. We have Walmart gift cards, and they can pick basically anything they want.
It's got to be the highlight of the year for those kids. That is just too much fun.
It's a great thing, and it's humbling because some of these children, Mark, they'll come in and they go get a brand new bicycle. They can get whatever they want within this dollar amount that we're allotted. But a lot of them say, we say, okay, what you get anything? Well, what you want to get? Well, I need to get my mom and my grandmom and my sister.
Think about that, Chastity. We've heard that over and over. These kids are not thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
They're thinking about their families.
Well, I remember one boy's probably 10 years old, and he'd say he needed a jacket. Okay, that's easy for me. I'm not a shopper.
Yeah.
But I know where to get jackets.
Yeah.
So we go over. And every one he tried, it was huge on. It's too big. And I said, buddy, that's not your size. Let's get one a different size. And then he wouldn't like one, try a different one. And then I said, why you want it so big? And he said, sir, it's really not for me. My brother needs a jacket. And I'm like, all right, look, your brother's got a jacket. Man,
that tugs my heartstrings.
And I can't even tell you how many times you see these officers. There is a limit to it, and you have to be cautious about it, but I can't tell you how many times you see them up there reaching in their pocket and pulling their own debit cards and things like that.
Getting extra stuff,
I can't tell this kid he can't get this because it's $20 over the lot. It's really reinforced to you what the real spirit of Christmas is.
Absolutely love that y'all do this. Just love that y'all do this.
It's a great event.
It is. Chief, you've been a blessing. I appreciate, just like with Chief Watts, you coming in. You guys are busy men. You've got a lot on your plate, taking the time to visit with us. And then again, we open that invitation. Anytime you have something you want to share with us, you just coordinate with Chastity, and you can call in and update the community on, if there's an alert or just something you want people to be aware of. You can share it with us.
Will do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming, and Merry Christmas to you guys.
Thank you, and Mark, thank you for all your support for law enforcement over the years. We really appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Absolutely. We love you guys, man. It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Mark McMain Show, when we come back, Chastity and I are going to give you a few last-minute tips for the shopping weekend that's coming up. Chastity's got a few things queued up, as do I. We'll be right back.
Are you considering selling your house or land, or perhaps find your dream home? Call Stacy McCullers, your trusted real estate expert. With 12 years of experience and a lifelong connection to Walton County, Stacy is here to help you every step of the way. Whether you're buying or selling, she's available anytime to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. Don't wait. Call today, 678-859-6336. A member of Malcolm & Malcolm Realty Professionals. Stacy McCullers, your realtor for life.
What matters most at Walton EMC? Reliability. With 99.99% reliability, we power lives around the clock. From investing in renewable energy to strengthening our grid, we're always working to keep your power on, even when severe weather strikes. And when it's needed, you can count on our skilled teams 24/7 to quickly restore your service. Walton EMC, investing energy in what matters most. Learn more at waltonemc.com.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm Josh Parker, 4th generation owner, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Mondays for lunch and Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
Make plans to attend the City of Madison Christmas Parade on December the 13th. Parade starts at 4 p.m. You may enter to be in the parade by filling out a form online and emailing it to chall@madisongeorgia.com or drop it off. It's free to enter. The holiday parade is from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., followed by caroling from 5 to 7 by candlelight. There's a Santa tent and the mistletoes in concert. Mayor's tree lighting and MCH Coors caroling. Free to the public. Check the website.
Since 1979, the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family has been caring for families in their time of need. The Tim Stewart family pledges to honor your loved one with excellence in service, compassion, and will guide you in making the right decisions. To learn more about the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family, stop in at one of their 3 locations in Monroe, Loganville, and Lawrenceville. Call 770-267-2594 or go to stewardfh.com.
Welcome back, Marc McMain. Chastity, that was 2 fantastic back-to-back interviews.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are blessed with fantastic leadership in our law enforcement departments. Not just the leadership, but the whole command staff and the law enforcement officers themselves and everybody that supports them, the admin team. Man, we're blessed.
All they do for our community.
They do. Yep. And they don't do it for the money. They do it because they love the community. So, Chastity, I figure we take a few minutes to talk about a couple things. This is getting into busy holiday shopping season. I know Liliana's already done a lot. Sometimes she shops local, goes to some of the local stores in town and get some goodies. And then sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you got to buy online, right? Certain things you can only get in certain places. Right. So, I've got a couple little tidbits. Before I do that, I want to remind everybody, Billy Brew every morning, 6 a.m. live, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Yes. I don't always get up early, but I tuned into this morning. He's good.
Yep.
Comes out of the gates, played Travis Tritt, Trouble. I can spell.
Oh, yeah.
What a great way to start the day.
That's have your morning cup of brew.
Yeah.
With Billy Brew.
With Billy Brew.
That's
right.
right.
6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then, of course, right after Billy is Tim Bryant. Mm-hmm. He will get you up to speed.
Yes.
I dabble in the news. Tim is an expert in the news.
I love listening to Tim.
Yeah, he really does it well. I get very opinionated. Tim just gets down there and he gets down to the raw facts and details.
Puts it out there.
So if you are doing some holiday shopping and some of the things that you have purchased require you to ship it pay attention. I was looking at this like, man, you better get busy because it's already the 5th. It's
Right.
December 5th. Christmas is here in 20 days.
Exactly.
And so the United States Postal Service says, hey, if you want to ship it by, what is their date here? Oh, first class by December 17th. I'm going to say you better get out before then.
Right.
I've got some experience in the United States Postal Service, and sometimes they are a little slow.
Absolutely.
So they're saying the 17th for ground advantage and first class. I say get it out sooner. FedEx says December 15th. That is for regular shipment. So if you missed the December 15th deadline for FedEx, you're going to be spending the extra dough on the overnight or second day or the same day and the different options they have there. That can get pricey.
Yes.
You know, even shipping like a pair of shoes, if you send it overnight, you know, you're in the 50s.
Yeah, even an envelope overnight is like $20-$30.
It is.
I mean, it's expensive, so get there early.
Yeah, and the UPS recommends shipping by December 19th for UPS 3-day select. I think you're pushing the envelope. If you wait till December 19th to send it 3-day select, there's a good chance
You might as well wait till after December 26th.
you're on the Grinch list at that point. Yeah, you better get out and get busy early. So the article that I was reading about urges sending them as early as possible. Liliana handles most of our Christmas shopping, but I don't think we're doing too much. Well, no, we're not doing too much sending out of state, so all of our stuff will be handed off personally. What about you, Chastity?
Yes, I do a lot of local. I love local shopping. And this year I have found myself shopping a little more online. So I at first wasn't really kind of excited about the
You
online
wanted to touch
shopping.
it and see it and
Yep.
feel it
Yep.
before you bought it. I
But
got it.
now I get it. So
We got a big show next week, folks. Chastity, any teasers for next week? Who do we got coming on? I know.
yeah, we have a great lineup. So Monday for your show, we have P&A jewelry coming, telling us about.
Speaking of shopping local.
Yep.
Yep.
And tell us about those fancy gold bars. I wonder if he'll bring us a gold bar just to look at. I've always wanted to see one.
Yeah. Maybe we'll
we've got,
bring us some ingots.
Yeah. And Janice Baldwin. She is going to give us an update on their Shop with
Their
the
Shop
Hero.
with the Hero, yep.
And there is a lot of like shopping heroes going on right now, but they all pull from the same batch.
Yep.
So all of our kids are getting an opportunity.
They're covering a lot of kids who need that. I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then we got Wayne Nodule.
Okay.
And in-studio guest, Mr. Michael Azalin.
Oh, Michael's
Yes.
coming.
Mhm.
This dude is
Yep.
brilliant. Folks, you got to tune in. When is that, Monday?
That's Monday's show.
Okay,
Yep.
Michael is brilliant and is he's got a great business, so I'll let him tell the story when he comes on. So you're not going to want to miss that show. That'll be Monday at noon. And we've got a great little kickoff song we're going to play. This is Whosoever South. And what is the name of the song again, Chastity? This is the guy, remember we interviewed him about 3 weeks ago. They're from somewhere down in South Georgia. He wouldn't even tell me the town he's from. Somewhere in South Georgia. But these guys are good. And I don't know what it is about the song. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm
Down
not a
in
DJ.
the woods. Yeah.
What's it called?
Down in the woods.
Down in the Woods.
Whosoever South.
Whosoever South. We're gonna sign off with this, folks. We'll see you on Monday. Stay safe. Until then, dig some Down in the Woods.